So good morning, everybody, to our next chapter in the path of prosperity. My name is Judy Feldhausen, and I am co-host today with Bob Wischmeier. Good morning, Bob.
Yeah, good morning, Judy, and good morning to everybody that's on the webinar with us this morning. We truly love and appreciate the fact that people are willing to get up and get going and get started. It may be a little later in the day in Florida, but here in Hawaii, it's 5 o'clock in the morning. And so even though that's awesome and fun and everything, it's an early morning for me here, even earlier for our phone call that we do every Monday morning. But sure good to be here with you this morning, Judy. Thank you.
You're welcome. And this is an exciting, as Bob was saying, this is an exciting section in this book. And, we started out talking about, everyone doesn't want to be a leader in synergy, but in truth, everybody is a leader.
Well, it's exactly right. Yeah, and I love this quote from John Maxwell that, states that a leader is one who knows the way and goes the way, shows the way. It's just so true. And it doesn't really matter where we are in terms of our synergy business, how big or small it may be. Just being an adult places us in a leadership position, if you will, and no matter what pathway we have to be on. But in terms of our business with Synergy Worldwide, anytime you sponsor someone into the business, you're responsible to help them along the way, right, Judy?
That is so true. It is so true. And having the ability to create your own team's feeling. Every team is unique, I believe, in synergy.
Well, they are. And we want to talk a little bit this morning about, how to, for one thing, how to meet your own goals, but to help people that you brought into your business to, to get to their goals as well. The key, I guess, to building a team, building a sustainable residual income, if you will, is finding systems that work for you, strategies, so you can duplicate your efforts. You want to create a system of inviting, enrolling, building your business. And you do that, you have to be pretty consistent in order to do that. And that's why proper sponsoring and placement are so important. Dan Hammer has a tremendous webinar, a tremendous video on placement and sponsoring in Our Synergy Family website. We should all, from time to time, take a peek at that. It's extremely important. Personally, I certainly wish that I had known more about proper placement a very long time ago. My downline would be set up a little bit differently than it is today. But prior to COVID, going back, say 2 or even 3 years ago, we built teams differently back then. It was easier, I think, when we could meet together, when we'd come face to face. I had a really strong team in Montana, and we met together a lot. I mean, we were together every week, really. We'd have a breakfast or something like that, or we'd have a get together at the Canyons Athletic Club. We'd meet in each other's homes. I mean, we were talking and working and, touching base every day. How many quality exposures have we had today? That kind of thing, that kind of constant contact with each other. And it was really fun. We'd get together with corporate. We had wonderful corporate meetings down in Utah, and it was just awesome. And it really helped. We would meet other Synergy people who are successful in the business and spend time and rub shoulders, talk about things that worked, things that didn't work, all that kind of thing. And it worked well, but we've sort of lost that option, Judy, this last couple of years. We've had to change how we do business and how we build a team camaraderie. Group meetings were ideal for doing that kind of thing. And frankly, I love those group meetings that we had. Like-minded individuals sharing thoughts, sharing ideas. I really enjoyed it, but that option's kind of off the table at this point in time. So we've got to be more creative, and of course using technology and other things to build our business, Judy.
Well, that's so true. And I hear that some people are starting to come back and meet in person. which that option could come back on the table. In my world, with people not being together in the same area, it almost becomes imperative to do something like Zoom meetings and phone calls, and invite that way, because physically we are not together. So we can't meet like you had that option to do years ago, Bob. For a lot of people, that option still will not be on the table.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly right. And it depends on where we live, that's for sure. I really enjoyed that. And that was one of the fun things about living in Montana and having such a strong downline there in the Bitterroot Valley, where it was just fun, just a lot of fun. And boy, I'll tell you what, Bonnie and I met a lot of new people, made a lot of new friends, a lot of like-minded people. You don't realize how many folks there are around you who think the same way that you do, at least with respect to good health. People looking for ways to avoid things like high blood pressure and diabetic problems, things of that nature, that we have the power and the ability to help with. And it's neat when you run into people like that. I've met hundreds of folks that way. And anyway, moving right along, I guess, right?
So today we're going to talk about leadership and really how to become a good leader, or how to take the characteristics that we have and use them in a leadership capacity.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we've got just a handful of things noted on the slide here, Judy. I really appreciated that a good leader sets clear and motivating goals. It's just absolutely true when you're working with people, when you're helping people and trying to inspire people with regard to their synergy business. You need to be clear. You need to teach them little tricks, little ways to do things, that are motivating and that are fun. You need to try to provide solutions to help people reach those goals. Isn't that right?
That is so true. And having those one-on-one conversations with each member of our team is so important, because everyone has their own goals, and you can motivate people to go to the next step, whatever that step is. But to think that, we're not an army, we're not a platoon, everyone doesn't do the same exercises every day, because everyone has their own individual goals. So as a leader, we do need to really know the people in our downline and what they're looking for to work with them. And that's going to make a difference on how often you talk to them one-on-one, and really what they're going to be doing on a daily basis.
Well, yeah, and a part of that too, I think, is following through. Gina Valley used to talk about the difference between following up and following through. Like, following up is like a separate thing from what you started with. But following through is just a continuation of a conversation, continuation of whatever it is that you're doing for the people that you're working with. And so when you have individuals in your organization that you're working with, you're close with, you're helping them along, you're not following up with things. You just follow through. You just keep making those phone calls, touching bases, answering questions, helping people do things. I had a phone call yesterday from one of my good customers, and he had gone to called customer service with a couple of questions with regard to Subscribe and Thrive, and he'd gotten himself set up on there and called me with some questions. We spent a few minutes on the phone, looked at what he was doing, what he wanted, what his goal was, and worked through that, got everything taken care of. And Bob's your uncle. It works. But it's when you're helping people to get things set up and keeping things clear and easy to understand, you follow through, and that's what it's all about. That's part of being a good leader, Judy.
It is. And being a good cheerleader, really, when you're following through, being able to let them know that they're doing a good job and that we are educating them, which is so important when it comes to the product and the way we follow through with our customers.
Well, it is. And if you have, I think something to keep in mind as well, you guys, is that if there's something that with regard to the company or the product that you're having a struggle with, and you feel like you need to voice that opinion or that concern, do that to your upline, not your downline. You've got to be that leader for your downline. Anybody that you're working with directly that you're trying to help to build and to support, you want to be positive and moving forward. If a question comes up, there's a problem that occurs, you're going to find an answer to that, because there will always be an answer. But if you're struggling with something, boy, don't share that down. Share that with your upline and find the right answers. Get somebody in there who can answer a question or a problem or lead out for you from above. Because it's a bit contagious. Leadership flows from the top down. And if you're in a leadership position and you're kicking dirt, people underneath of you are going to feel it as well. And it's discouraging, and you don't want that. You do not want to discourage the people you're working with. You want to lead them, and being a good cheerleader doesn't necessarily mean rah-rah, but it certainly means being positive.
You make such a good point, Bob. And, I think as a basis for that, it's being able to lead with love. And, years ago, we would never have said that in leadership. But I actually have a friend, Steve Farber, and he has a best-selling book about doing business with love. And really, that is part of business today, is showing yourself as a good leader and that you care about your people.
Yeah, and I think a big part of that too is that when you are in that leadership position, you need to educate your people as well, right? You're patient with them, you're teaching them new things, educating, whether it be product or whatever business format that they want to use. You do it with, kindness. It really pays off. I spoke a little bit on Monday morning about the rabbit effect in terms of heart health, and how the experiment that they did with the rabbits, and feeding the rabbits the same food every day, and then monitoring the condition of the rabbits later, and discovering that the rabbits that were fed, but the researcher who held the rabbits and loved on them and talked to them and petted them and whatever, they had a lot, that's 60% less heart problems than the other rabbits. Well, that's because they were shown love and concern, and it makes a big difference. Love's a motivating factor, Judy. It really is.
It really is. In another organization, I had an upline that would call me every day, which is a great thing. But every day there was a list. What did you do? Who did you talk to? And what were the results? And that was the limit of the conversation. And well, except with what you've got to do more, you're not doing enough. You're not going to get anywhere if you don't do X. And it became a place where I didn't want to answer the phone when I saw that call come in, because I felt like I was being drilled every day.
Yeah, that's you don't catch many flies with vinegar, do you?
That's for sure.
No, honey's better for that. Well, and then part of being a good leader is, like you mentioned here, like you note here in the slide, is sharing best practices. These are using things that work and sharing those things that work with the people in your downline. I did this and this helped, and I've spoken before about a little trick that I do usually towards the end of the month, where if I've got certain customers who haven't been ordering, I'll just send them out a text or an email or whatever and say, hey, I'm getting ready to order some Synergy product. Do you need me to order anything for you? Do you need anything? That kind of simple little soft approach sometimes shows, well, it works. It just, I've picked up a lot of customer sales by doing that, just reminding people, and we want to share best practices, right, Judy?
Well, that is so true. And And along with that, to communicate with our downline line in the ways they want to be communicated with. You know, I remember sending out emails to people and not wondering why they haven't respond. When I got to talk to them on the phone, they say, "Oh, I get too many emails. I don't read emails anymore. If you want to talk to me, text me."
Yeah,
Okay. And so once I started texting, then I started getting responses.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
so being
exactly.
able to communicate with the people in the way that they are most comfortable with. So, you know, as a leader, you just learn, oh, John needs texts and Susie needs emails and Brad needs phone calls.
Yeah, and then of course that all comes from knowing your people, right? That's a big
Mhm.
part of it, that we need to know who it is that we're working with and what their needs are. And I love on the bottom here where it says, where you've mentioned, you know, how important it is to stay plugged in. That's hugely significant. If you're going to grow your organization, you've got to stand out in a leadership position and make things work. And so we need to stay plugged in. We need to be paying attention to the synergy blogs, to what's going on, you know, when there's an opportunity to, um, you know, to take advantage of a sale or just whatever it happens to be. We want to be plugged in. We want to be truly be team leaders with Synergy Worldwide and share things with our people. Be excited about the things that are going on in the company and, you know, and share those things with our people. Those are really important practices to take note of as a Synergy leader. Yeah, reach out, constantly be involved with the company itself, know what's going on in the company, stay plugged in, and share those things with others. Get people to get on webinars on Saturday or our Monday morning conference call. Dana and I've been doing that conference call for like 10 years or something like that. Every Monday morning we have that conference call. Stay plugged in. It's just way important, Judy.
No makes a difference. And when we are plugged in and can share that excitement with the downline, then they get excited and they learn what's going on also. So sharing that information to help motivate them is a big step.
Yeah. Well, yeah, this is an interesting slide, you guys, because what we're doing is we're working with a workbook. You know, we're teaching this Saturday webinar from this
Try moving with this.
workbook. We're getting a little background. Yeah, there we go. Thank you so much. But it's a sample program in here for training. And I think that's interesting. One of the fun things about the Path to Prosperity training is that it is a workbook. You can download the thing, you can print it, you can sit down and make notes and take notes and make notes and it's a lot of fun. And that's what the workbook is all about. But I love when I first looked at this slide, I saw that little group of people sitting there. Of course, I thought about Synergy meetings that I've had in the past and how much fun I've enjoyed them. But it says to listen first and give advice second. Judy, let's talk about that for a minute. Would you mind?
It's so important, Bob, to listen first and give advice second. You know, I'm in the process of rehabbing a house right now. And to be able to even listen to my 13-year-old granddaughter to get her ideas and what her vision is and include her in the vision. Once I know what it is, I can take her vision and include it in my own vision. And it makes such a difference because there's that feeling of community, that it's not the boss and the employee, it's the team. And that makes such a big difference.
You've got to listen to what you know, I did some finish work on a friend's home there in North Idaho where I live, and he has a special needs daughter, and she's blind, and her name is Ellie. I just love her to death. And Ellie said, "Would you guys paint my room pink?" we painted her room pink. Now she's blind and can't see what color those walls are, but we listened to what Ellie wanted. She wanted me to build her a magnet board. She collects magnets. She can't even see them. I built her a magnet board, believe me. And then one day when I was there, she says, Bob, can you build me another magnet board? Because the one she had was completely full of little magnets. She can feel them, but she can't see them. Well, you listen. And I guess that's sort of key to life, isn't it? Listening to what people need. It's not always the same.
Well, and so much of this advice, Bob, is not just about being a leader in Synergy, right? It's really what you just said, the key to life.
Yeah, being a friend. Well, what about questions, Judy? What about questions?
Yeah, right. I mean, we talk a lot in our team about asking questions and being able to find out what people want, because if we know what they want, then we can give it to them.
Well, yeah, what could be better in a team situation than learning how to ask a question that requires that the individuals in that team come up with their own solutions, figure it out for themselves. You don't want to give them all the answers. It's like raising a family. You can't tell your kids everything that they need to know. You try to teach them correct principles and then let them govern themselves, let them figure things out accordingly. And so that's, as a good leader, learn how to ask a question that requires the people that you're working with to do some thinking on their own. That way there's ownership to the solution that they've come up with, right, Judy?
That is so true. And being able to, when working with your team one-on-one, help them see what they need to do. Set those clear action items before you say goodbye, so that you're both on the same page and there's clarity around that. And there's a way to move forward in your business. And since they've come up with those solutions, as we talked about, they're going to be more comfortable with those action items. Not like my upline that said, you need to do this, and this, and I'll call you tomorrow and make sure that you did it. It gave me the feeling that I was not heard and, not an individual, that I was part of a cog on a wheel.
Yeah, exactly. And then, of course, a simple follow through later, that's important as well. You give people the opportunity to come up with their own solutions, to set those action items. But as a good leader, you also need to follow through. Make sure that things are happening, or sometimes just a gentle prod to remind people. And I think that the idea of deciding the frequency or the length of calls, those are simple little leadership things, but boy, it's just like this webinar or our Monday morning conference calls. There needs to be a specific length. I had a friend once who said that if your meeting goes 5 minutes over, I can't remember, is it 3 minutes over or 5 minutes over, it's time, you start losing people. And I think there's something to be said there. You need to be true to the length of the call. I guess that's the way to say it. The integrity of the call depends on the time frame.
Well, and not only that, I believe that if you have a limited time, you will be more productive, you'll be more focused, you'll stay on task, because there's only so much time to get through. If it's open-ended, people tend to talk about things that would have nothing to do with your call. I mean, they see a squirrel, right? And they talk about the squirrel instead of the focus that they want to do in the meeting. So being able to do the frequency and the length, and as a leader to take those calls and maybe make the team calls, if you're doing them individually, making them one after the other. And so that you batch your time, you become more efficient also with what you are doing. It just makes more sense.
Well, it does. You know, I worked a lot with Jim French at the Canyons Athletic Club up in Hamilton, Montana. There, Jim French and Randy Ash are the owners, Canyons Athletic Club, and they were just tremendously strong synergy distributors and really leaders in the company years ago. Not so much now. Things have changed. Life has changed, I guess, if you will. But Jim French was a former high school principal. He was a teacher, just a neat guy. I just think the world of him. Bonnie and I we've done meetings together with him a lot through the years. And Jim always talked about how important it was that you have an agenda. That if you're going to organize a meeting and ask people to come to a meeting or to get on a call, you need to be mindful of their time and be respectful of their time and work off that agenda. That in a meeting scenario, if you go through your agenda items and stay true to the integrity of that agenda, when you close that meeting, if you factored in to allow time after the meeting is over, especially if you're meeting in person, maybe to have some refreshments or something of that nature. To be honest, that seems to be where the magic of the meeting takes place. Oftentimes, the meeting will be specific things that you're sharing with people, but it's the conversation that occurs following the meeting that really has, I don't know, the strength or the magic in it, where people are talking to each other and sharing ideas and stuff in a more fluid sort of a way. I always love that about a good meeting. End on time, stick with the agenda, and then let people have a chance to talk. Judy?
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So as we move forward, this is a mentoring worksheet that Synergy put together. And in the workbook, there are questions and then places for you to answer these questions. So if you were creating your leadership development style, how would you do that? So, and what is working and not working, so that you can improve yourself personally. And, you know, I believe that a rising ship lifts all boats. And as we become better leaders, our team becomes better leaders because they watch what we do, just as we watch our uplines and see what our uplines do. Look at Dan Hammer. He has so many team members that do videos and are being extremely successful with their videos, as Dan has been with the ones that he has created. So remember that as we look to our upline, our downline looks to us.
Yeah. With regard to this kind of a worksheet, everyone is a little bit different, Judy. Some people like to sit down and jot down. Some people really enjoy pencil and paper, or pen and paper. I know that I do. I think better when I can take notes and make notes and jot things down. So when I look at a worksheet like this, and I look at the question, what worked this week in your life and business? If I have a pen in my hand, I'm going to be jotting stuff down. I'm literally going to be writing those kinds of things down. I like doing that kind of thing. You know, what didn't work for me this week? You know, I keep a journal, that kind of a thing. So this kind of a worksheet works well for me. It doesn't for everyone, you know. But this business that we're in is all about self-improvement. You know what? Learning new things, making adjustments, having a paradigm shift in the way that we look at things. All of those things really come into play in network marketing. And so we almost have to stop from time to time, not beat ourselves up, certainly, but to look at what are we doing? What have I done today? And how could I adjust? What adjustment can I make to make things better? And that's what this little worksheet is all about, you know, thinking it through,
Absolutely.
you know. Yeah.
And one of the questions that Synergy has not included that I just learned myself a couple of years ago through an organization that I'm a part of, to ask yourself what worked this week. And the next question is, what could I do better? Instead of saying what goes wrong, but saying what could we do better? What do we need help with? It just changes that second question, at least for me, it changes that section question to become more positive and to look at the solutions that I can create, in my business or with my team for the next week.
Yeah, for sure. What could I do better? And it's really, really good counsel, Judy. And I mean, that's what this is all about, right? Taking a look at what we did and what adjustments do we need to make? We do that with everything in life, though, don't we? I mean, that's what life's all about, is learning and growing and adjusting. And what could I do better? How can I make this a little bit better next time? And certainly athletes go through that. I'm not sure who all is on our call or on our webinar with us this morning, but if you talk to Dane about being a professional athlete, as all the years that he was a professional athlete, he was constantly trying to figure out new ways to do things a little bit better, spend a little bit more time in that batting cage or whatever it happened to be, but making adjustments, and that's how you grow. That's how you get better. And then business is the same as anything else. So yeah, and we want to be malleable enough as synergy leaders, if you will, to learn new things, to try new things. And so if something's not working so well, set it to the side and move forward. Innovation is important in all of this as well. And you can think outside of the box sometimes. That's important as well. So, Judy?
Yes, it is. So this worksheet is how you can also work with your team and talk to your team, and know what to go over with your team, to help them find, different ways to do things better, different resources they can use or utilize, teaching them about the Our Synergy Family website, things like that, that's going to help them help their business succeed.
Yeah, awesome. Actually, I think Dane might be on our call this morning. Dane, are you on this morning? I think you are.
You have to unmute yourself, Dane.
I was just going to
I thought I did. Sorry.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, Bob, I'm on the call.
Yeah, take just a sec, Dane, if you wouldn't mind. When we talk about, taking a look at the way we're doing something and realizing I need to make an adjustment. I mentioned about professional sports. How big of a factor is that when you're trying to get better at your trade as an athlete?
No, Bob, you're exactly right. I remember when I was first invited to the Major League camp when I was in the minor leagues for the Philadelphia Phillies, and what they do is they take their best minor league players and they want to expose them to a major league situation. And that doesn't mean, and this is in spring training, so they invite you to come and you spend like 2 weeks just training with the Major League Baseball players. I remember I used to go up there. My first time I was invited, and I was a member of the Philadelphia Phillies. And so when I went to spring training, it was really exciting because I got to train with the major league players. And so I learned from them, what do you do? How do you train? And saw the extra work and the effort they put into it. And it was really eye-opening to me, because a lot of times when you're in the minor leagues, you don't have access to that. And so you don't know if what you're doing is right, wrong, or whatever. So I remember, I used to watch those great players, and they had a lot of great players in Philadelphia when I first went up there. People like Mike Schmidt and Larry Bowe was the shortstop, and Greg Luzin, just a lot of good players. And I just watched how they did their thing, how they worked, what they worked on, that type of thing. And it was really a great experience for me, because then I was able to adjust what I was doing, because I know what they were doing. They were successful. And so I was able to adjust what I was doing to make sure that I was training properly. And so it was really, really good for me. So you're right. Look and see who are successful and what are people doing to be successful. And I know you and Judy have talked a lot about, sending out Dan's videos. A lot of time, a third party touch with your customers is good, and you can put those videos out there. We have access to so much that will help so many people, and so it was important to me in my baseball career. And like you said, Bob, I've been in Synergy now like 20 years, but when we first got started, we had Diane Levitt, and she had been successful in Nu Skin. And so my partner at that time, he and I would invite her to come and do meetings for us, and just saw how she did things and the things she talked about. And that was also very eye-opening for us, and created a good atmosphere. And she was really good. She'd come and do them all the time for us when we first began. And so, with all that stuff and how people invited and what you did. And I know with the COVID thing the last couple of years, and how you had to, you couldn't get together in groups, but really that's the way I started, and that's the way I really built my business originally. But now we have different avenues with social media and different things like that we didn't have when I first started. So take advantage of the things that we have and be able to share interesting things with people, especially people who are interested in health. And I think now, people are so much more interested in their health because of all the tragedy we had with the COVID virus. So yeah, you're right. It's, watch what people do that are successful, and it'll lend to your success. So yeah, that's my 2 cents this morning, Bob. Thanks, Bob. Thanks, Judy, for what you're doing. Appreciate all you do. Thank you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks, Dane. Yeah, and it's getting back to what we were saying, what Dane was just sharing, is that we as from a leadership position, we need to teach. We need to share with others, and help them as they make those little incremental adjustments in the way that they're doing things, to become more successful. And that's just what Dane was talking about. You watch the pros, you see what they're doing, and you learn from that. And it's awesome. It's especially awesome when you've got a new distributor or a new team member who really wants to grow, who really wants to not just buy some product, but to create a business for themselves. And this network marketing is not an easy business. It's not. Anybody that tells you it is, they're trying to sell you something, because it's not. It's challenging, and you have to treat it like a business. You have to work it in order for it to grow. And it can be a little discouraging sometimes when we have a problem. In my downline, I had a tremendous downline going, and then had someone go rogue and cause some problems, and I lost almost all of my downline. It wasn't an easy thing to face, but knowing how good the company is, and loving what I'm doing and the people I'm working with, has been incentive enough for me to keep moving forward. Now, all that said, Judy, we need to button this up, but these action items, let's touch base with these things just really quick. Would you mind?
Sure, absolutely. And, it's all about personal choice and how you want to work with your team. So making those decisions on if you're working in a team setting, either face-to-face or online, or are you working individually with people? How are you going to use this booklet as a guide to help your team, or not? But this is an amazing thing that Synergy has developed here. What I really like about it is how it coincides with how we as on Dane's team really work, and work with people. It coincides with what we believe in. So it is a great book to actually use the guide, or if you want to use something else, that's fine too. But just making those decisions and creating that personal program for your team to help them be successful is so important.
Yeah, it's really important. And what a fine tool it is too. And through the years, there's been a time or two when I've been a little bit discouraged with maybe a lack of guidance from Synergy with respect to building a business, but this Path to Prosperity workbook that they created really has addressed that. And it might be just slightly dated just simply because of COVID, if you will, but it still works. And so again, we highly recommend take a minute. I've got Path to Prosperity downloaded on my laptop. I've got it downloaded on my PC at home. Just a click of the mouse, and I'm looking at Path to Prosperity workbook. It's helpful. And so if we're looking to grow our business, if we're looking to help our team members, here's a great tool for that, Judy. And I think, I'm grateful for it. I hope everyone is. And anyway, it's sure been fun going through this for the last several months. And I think we'll have one more session, won't we? With
Yes.
Yeah, one more. Yeah. And then we'll regroup. So, but thank you so much, Judy, and thanks everybody for joining us. Dane, thank you for your insight this morning as well. Judy?
Yes, and as we close it up here, thanks, Bob, for being a wonderful co-host as always. And do we have any questions or comments before we say goodbye? Awesome.
I've got 2 comments. Hello.
Hey.
I've got 2 comments.
Okay.
The first one is from the first slide.
The first slide.
I recently signed up a distributor in New York. She has a larger market than I do. So I made her a chart of what she should do, sent her a copy in Publisher so she could change it up, and one in another platform which she should hold for herself. And I told her, this is what you have to do when you get distributors. I will share that chart with Dan. Maybe it could be useful to other people also. The second comment is from the second slide, cheerleadership. What we have, I appreciate Dan when he says, I do not steal other people's distributors or product sales. I believe Dan says that he do not take other people's property from them. What we should do is not steal the thunder of our downline distributors. I have had to suffer with people. I've made an idea, I said something, and then they claim it. Other distributors will hear that and will keep their mouth shut. We have got to edify our downline and do not take away their thunder. End of comment.
Yeah, good. That's good counsel, Timothy. Thank you.
Bob and Judy, this is Dan. What I'll do, as I was listening to you, we've got one more session. On the Our Synergy Family website, I'll put a image that people can click on and go to a dedicated page for the Path to Prosperity. And that way they can download the book, as well as I'll put all 10. I'll put up the 9 sessions that we have so far, and then once the 10th session is done, I'll add that to the page. That way they're on the Our Synergy Family website. If a person wants to use the Path to Prosperity workbook as a training tool for their organization, they can go to Our Synergy Family, click on Path to Prosperity, go to a dedicated page. That page will have the link to the PDF for the Path to Prosperity workbook, as well as your 10 session videos to help walk people through that process. Does that work for you guys?
That's a great idea, Dan.
Yeah. Thank you, Dan. That'll be great. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Sweet. Well, thanks you guys. Judy, once again, thanks for a great webinar, and best of luck finishing up on your place there in Florida.
And with your snorkeling, Bob, just
yeah.
say hello to those fish.
I'll be snorkeling again today, I think. It's the sea turtles that are so amazing to swim with.
Oh, I can't imagine. We have a huge turtle. We're on a pond here, and we have a huge turtle that lives in the pond. I can't get in the water with it though. I just have to watch it from the shore.
Well, it's an amazing thing to be snorkeling here in Hawaii. It's a lot of fun. I've sure enjoyed it, and it's been good for me. I think I'm going to be 70 here in a few days, and the fact that I can still do these things is important to me. So that's been fun.
Cool. Okay, well, thank you, everyone. Everyone have a wonderful week. We'll hopefully hear everyone on Monday morning, nice and bright and early for Bob.
Yeah, we've got Paul Bladd's going to join us Monday morning, so it'll be kind of fun to hear from Paul. So that'll be great.
Okay, well, bye-bye, everyone.
Okay, guys, see you all later. Thanks so much. Take care. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye-bye.